Hello, this is Roland. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about my favorite subject, meditation. And I want to convince you, but without using emotion, that you need to meditate. Now, why? Because as it is now, you are separated from your Creator. And you have fallen into the flesh. In the Bible, the New Testament, especially Paul and the other apostles, but Paul especially talks about the carnal mind and falling into and being in the flesh instead of the spirit. Christ said the flesh profits nothing. The spirit is what is important. And now you have fallen into the flesh. And so your whole life revolves around that. And you can see that, can't you? That's all you revolve around. First, angers and passions and so on. And then food. And then finally, pain. Trying to get better. Going from one doctor to another, one pill to another, and so on. Well, you need to find a way to get closer to your Creator. Remember, in the Bible, it says that Adam and Eve were created in the image and likeness of God. And it says in the Bible something about being predestined to be conformed to the image of Christ. Something about those people for whom salvation is implemented are predestined to be conformed to the image of Christ. Now you remember Christ often spoke about being in the Father. He often talked about the works that he did were the Father operating through him. He says, my judgments are true because I only see what I see. And it's from the Father permits me to see what I see. And he said, I do nothing of my own. Christ did nothing of his own volition. His only will was to do God's will. And he got his ego out of the way, and then he did God's will. And as through the process of doing God's will and looking within and being obedient and picking up his cross and laying down the ego life, in that process and through all that he had to suffer, through that process, he became more and more and more in the image of the Father. So that is a good example for us all. To be more in the image of the Father. Remember, Adam and Eve were created in the image and likeness of God, but then what happened? They fell away. Through disobedience and doubt and yielding to temptation, they fell away. And where did they fall? They fell into the flesh. And they changed. They changed. And so what you inherit is this changed nature, this fallen nature, this lusting nature. You can't help it. That's what you inherit. Many of us look at our casing, the way we are, and what we're always thinking about, and we can see that there's something wrong with that. that we do, that somehow we want to do, what is it that Paul said? He said, that which I want to do, I don't do, but that which I don't want to do, I do. Well, see, so not only do we inherit the fallen life, it's a result of Adam falling away from God, but then we go on to begin to be transformed in the image of what? The father of greed and ambition, and the father of lust, and the father of pride, and the father of resentment, the father of anger and judgment. We become transformed in that image. See? So that's not good. So you need to be restored back to the way Adam and Eve were before the fall, and then even beyond that. More in the image of God than Adam and Eve were. So that's what salvation is all about. So now, all you can do is give into your thoughts, your imaginings, your pinings, your yearnings, your lusting, your angers, your passions. Give in to them or struggle with them and repress them. That's all you can do. But neither of those are the answer. The answer is to somehow find a way to stand back and watch them, observe them, observe yourself without reacting to what you see. Just see the way you are. Realize, that's the word, realize, in God's light. See, when you are in God's light, closer to God's light, then you can realize, you can see, you can understand. And not only that, but God's light begins to change you for the better. So that's the whole point of the meditation. But it's very simple. See, you can't make this happen of yourself. Christ said, of myself I can do nothing. So you can't make it happen. You can't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You can't make yourself good. You can't save yourself. But you can yearn for something good and true. You can practice the little meditation so you can be objective and just watch. See, learn to watch. And that's part and parcel of laying down the ego life of reacting and being angry and judging and being upset. And just watch, observe, marvel, and then watch. See what the light does. It's magic. What God's light does is magic. God who created this universe, this marvelous emerald earth, and all the trees and flowers and mountains and the rivers and the lakes and the stars. He made it all. And he made people and animals and everything. So do you think that he could quite possibly remold you? Remember, he's the potter, you are the clay. And the only problem is that you've been separated from him. Now, all you need to do is get closer to him. But see, in the past, you pushed him away. You didn't realize it. Maybe you did, but you probably didn't. You pushed him away for many reasons. Mainly because you didn't want to admit you were wrong. You didn't want to see your own helplessness. You didn't want to admit that you couldn't make yourself right. You were bound and determined to somehow make yourself look good and be good, recover innocence, do it on your own somehow with the help of experts in technology, drugs, and knowledge. That's it. So you've fallen just as Adam and Eve did. They fell for knowledge, so have you. You've lined up with everybody else for knowledge, thinking that could make you well, make you better, solve all your problems. But it doesn't. So now all you must do is humbly come back to God, or humbly let God. What's the old expression? Let go and let God. That's what you must do, is humbly let go and let God. Let Him take care of remolding you, changing you back to what Adam and Eve were like, giving you back your innocence, giving you back your bright nature which you had as a little child. See, you tasted of it. When you were a little child, you had a bright nature, and you saw things and knew things, and life was a discovery process, and you were filled with joy. And you learned at lightning speed. You learned how to walk and talk and do all things at lightning speed. So you tasted of what Adam and Eve must have been like in the garden long ago. See? Then you began to fall away from it because people teased you and pressured you, and the world seduced you, and your friends and everything. You got pulled into the world, and you became angry at your mom or at your dad. All of these things contributed to your falling away from God's inner light and then not wanting to admit you're wrong. Well, now all you have to do is just be willing to admit you're wrong and start to thread your way back, this time with God's help. And that's what the meditation does. It teaches you how to become still and separate from the thought stream and from the imagination and just observe thought. Observe thought as thought. See? Instead of falling into it. Then you start on your way back to being the bright-natured child of God that you were always intended to be.